Okay, let's talk about Tyshawn and Lanaya. Tyshawn and Lanaya both want to do $5,000 in an account that earns interest at 3%. One's going to do simple interest, the other one's going to do compound interest. And they gave a little chart down here, and I'm going to do it in the chart so that you can see some simple information a little bit better explained. I promise I'm going to do it in the chart. So Tyshawn is going to do simple interest. Tyshawn is going to be putting in his $5,000. He's going to be getting 3%, so that's 0.03 every year, which tells me that his interest that he is earning every year is $150, which makes his balance at the end of the year the $5,000 plus the $150. That's $5,150. That's pretty good. Well, the next year he's going to have $5,000 for his investment, 0.03 times 1, because that's the formula for simple interest. That's $150. So his balance the next year is $5,300. Okay, the next year, $5,000, 0.03 times 1, that's $150. So that's $5,450. So in his bank account at the end of his 3 years, he has $5,450. Lanaya gets compound interest. So she starts out with her $5,000, 0.03 for 1 year. It's still going to be 0.03, $5,000 times 1 plus 0.03 raised to the 1 power. That's $150. $5,150. That's what she earned. But here's the thing. When we end up, that's what her annual interest is. If we figured it up by compound interest, that's what it would be for her 1 year. But if we figured it out by simple interest, which is what we're going to do, 5,000 times 0.03 times 1, that's $150. That's still the $5,150, just like it was for Tyshawn. Nothing changed in the first year. They both earned the same amount. Everything's fine for the first year. But because it's compound interest, they pay it out to her after the first year. They don't pay it out to Tyshawn. Tyshawn just stays there. It might be in the bank, but his just stays there. It's not like it accrues. It just stays. They say, oh, well, that's what you have, but they don't pay it out to him. They're going to pay it out to Lanaya and say, this is what you have right now. And then she's going to say, I'm not going to touch that. And the bank is going to say, let's just reinvest it and put it back in. So now your principal is now $5,150. So when we take that and multiply it by 0.03 times 1, we get a new interest. When we do that, now the interest is $155. Now that's only $5 more. But that's $5 more. Buy you a little something at McDonald's. So that's $5,305 that she now has that he doesn't. $5 more. So now they're paying that money out to her and letting her reinvest that amount. So she puts that in the bank at 3% for 1 year, and she gets out $1,509. Now it's $9 more instead of what he had. Every time it's going to grow a little bit more and a little bit more and a little bit more. And this is only for 3 years. Imagine what it would be after 20 years, how much it would have grown. So now it's $5,464, not $5,450. That's why compound interest is always better than simple interest. Now that you understand that, you need to understand that interest can be compounded at different intervals. It doesn't always have to be yearly. So we talked about yearly, which is what they did, but it can be compounded at different times as well. It can be compounded annually, that's yearly. So that means the N would be 12. Semi-annually, N would not be 12. Whew, it has been a long day for me. N would be 1. Semi-annually means N is 2. Quarterly, quarter is 4. Monthly, N is 12. Daily, N is 365. Weekly, N would equal 52. Sometimes they use biannually, where N is equal to 2. N always represents the number of times it compounds in a year. The formula got a little off. Let me see if I can correct it a little bit. Hold on a second. Is APR over N. Let me just take this out because that's not being helpful. Italics that and underline. Something like that. A little bit better. Sorry that took so long. So that's the formula. A equals P times 1 plus APR over N to the NY. We will use it a lot, where N represents the number of times it gets compounded in 1 year. The N changes all the time. A still represents the accrued, P still represents the principal, APR is still the rate. These N's are the same, and the Y is still the year. So for example 4, they want you to compute the balance for the following accounts after the stated period of time. They have $1,500 is invested for 5 years with a simple annual interest rate of 4%. They said it was simple, which means we start not with A, but with I equals PRT. Ooh, did it catch you too? So that's 1,500 times, my rate is 0.04, times my year is 5. They want to know the balance in the following accounts. So 1,500 times 0.04 times 5 is $300. That isn't a balance, that's an interest rate. So my total is going to equal my 1,500 plus my 300, which is 1,800. The other one is daily compounding. A equals, the formula said P parentheses 1 plus APR over N to the NY. If you write it every time you use it, you'll memorize it in no time. The A we don't know, that's what we're looking for. The P is how much we invested, that's the 4,000. 1 plus, my APR is 0.03. My N is daily compounding. What they say daily was 365. That's a big number. Oof. So that's 365 times Y, which was 5 years. And I'm supposed to be able to put that in a calculator? Why, yes, she said. As a matter of fact, you are. When you put it into the calculator, 4,000, open parentheses, 1 plus 0.03 divided by 365, close parentheses, exponent, open parentheses, 365 times 5, close parentheses. If you have one of the old calculators, ta-da, one of these, then you are going to have to put extra special parentheses around all your fractions. You're going to have to do that to tell this calculator that it's a fraction. Doesn't know unless you tell it. If you have one of the newer calculators, then you're going to have to tell it that it's a fraction. You could put the parentheses around it. That tells it that it's a fraction. Or there's a special fraction key to tell it that it's a fraction. I'd love to tell you what it is. I don't have the calculator on me right now to tell you what it is. But look it up. There's a fraction key for it. So that's it. You press enter, and when you do, you get out $4,647.31. And I'll see you in the next video.